Hello.
Hello. Hi, Nina. Jesus.
Hi.
Great for you to do this with me. It's just to have a conversation about the idea of healing. Because for me, healing comes in lots of different ways. It could be physiotherapy, it could be counselling. But what you do is something really quite special. I've had a treatment of Nina, and it's a little bit more related to what I do, I think, in the energetic side of things.
We work with a very subtle dimension with the energy, because when you touch a body already you can feel, you can be trained. The human being has this capability to feel, capacity to feel, and then if you touch someone you can feel the bones, the muscles, you can go deep and feel different parts of the tissues. You can be trained to feel the blood circulation and also the circulation of the liquid inside the body, which has a rhythm. And you can feel something which is even more untouchable, which is the energy that flows through the body. And when you feel that, you can also receive, depending on your way to channeling, you can receive visions, words that can be like a communication from the soul of the person to your soul, and the soul always knows what the person needs. Sometimes we don't listen because we live through the mind and we listen only what the mind says, the ordinary mind. But we have another level which is deeper, that says truth, the truth in a very silent way, and this is what we can feel. We can feel this silent need to heal the body, and you just open the space, the possibility for that to be done, and the body does itself what is needed. So it's kind of magic, actually.
Well, that's a very good description of the job we do. I only would like to add one thing. What I communicate with the body that I'm treating is that I always try to remain to that soul that she already knows. In that way, I only give confidence to the soul. And I do believe that any soul knows what the body and mind needs. And I just open a space where the soul can work with the psyche and with the body of the patient. That's why the other day I said I try to be less influent in the body and just open the space to leave the soul of the person just do what she thinks is the right, yes, the real good. Because sometimes we have ideas about healing, like recovering fast or things like that. And many times the patient needs like a whole process of recovering, because meanwhile they in this process they understand things, deep things about themselves that they can heal, they can cure by bringing them to the consciousness. Yes. Otherwise, it is possible. I think you can, only with your faith, you can really transform situations. But in that case, people don't understand the purpose of the sickness, which brings always a message, a deep message from the soul. Yeah, I know that is. Along with the message comes the suffering and the pain, and people don't want to handle the pain. It's understandable, and we are here to help them in that sense. But the most important thing is that in the process of the healing, they bring up to the light, to the consciousness, all this inner process. Because you will see here, we tested, and I think we have it for sure, that every one of the maladies and sickness has psychological base. Yes, like basically it's a trapped emotion there, and the way to heal that is to embrace it, accept it, integrate that feeling, and then grow up after that.
So do you think, I've got a couple of questions from this already. So one of the things that I was thinking about was maybe this is where we get our intuition from our soul, and our soul is what is.
Yeah.
If souls were all integrated into one, then there would be a world knowledge that we would know everything that we understand so far, and possibly that would lead us to an intuition of understanding things that we wouldn't normally know. But whether the soul itself is intuitive in its own caring of its form.
That's true. The soul carries all the information, yes? And in another hand, the soul can, because the soul lives in this different dimension, can easily connect with the field where all the information is. Yes? So I always said to my students that consciousness is the space in between the forms. Yes? And soul is like spaciousness at the same time. So if you connect with your soul, you can be in that field. I always mention this because it's a great metaphor for me to describe it. It's like in the movie Matrix. You see when Neo jumps into this other world with letters and characters and numbers. Well, the soul can connect with that world and pick information from there. And also because it's made of information, she knows how to connect with that and pick the stuff that she needs to heal. And the way the soul has to communicate us that information is through intuition. Yeah. The thing is that we need to recognize the voice of our souls, because the minds also talk to us.
Also because we have a big part of the human world against, no? So, for instance, the soul communicates to us through dreams. But when we are kids, usually we are more dreams, and adults says, no, it's just a dream, it's nothing. It's your mind reorganization and it has no value, no? So all the method that the soul has to communicate has to pass through the resistance of our society and culture, which already exclude these messages, like synchronicity. Now a lot of people is speaking of it, but there is also a lot of confusion and crossed information, and it's hard to find the truth through all of that. Like internet, no? We have a lot of information, but then you have to really know which one is the right for you. And so we have first to win the resistance of our mind about doubting the message that can hear from the soul. And this is one step. And then when we receive the message, many times we have other resistance. So the soul says you need to stop, but your mind says, no, you need to work harder. And so a lot of people suffer from stress. And in the way I focus the sickness, the disease, and the illness is that is the best response the soul and the body could find with what there was in the situation of the life. So if there is a lot of stress and the mind doesn't listen, then it will appear some physical way to stop for a moment, and maybe this is called a sickness or a disease. instead of the natural response from the wisdom of the soul to make the mind listen. If we could think of the sickness like that, like there is a purpose for what I have this, and really it is a method of my soul to connect with me because I wasn't listening, the very first thing should be an observation of that process. And when we open up to see we are not victim and we are not betrayed from life, but we are just having an opportunity to fix things through some symptoms, maybe only stress or maybe a pain in the foot or whatever, then already we would switch the interrupter, no? So it's not, oh, what a pity I have this. Oh, I have this, I'll watch. I'll stay open. Maybe there is something I need to know from that. And this is a part of this process of taking consciousness from what we are living, what we are experiencing. And I think this is very important, and I try to help people through counseling to have more light in their view, and also for them to take outside from themselves the answer. Because sometimes when somebody comes to heal, they wish not to suffer and they wish to get the fast answer. Like when you go and pick fast food, you also want fast answer. What do I need to do? Why do I have this? Okay, it's fixed. Yes, and sometimes it works like that, but when the answer comes from you, from inside, then there is no doubt.
That's really transformative when you allow the person to find the truth for themselves. But that also will happen naturally, because often what the therapist can tell you, you already knew it. Yes. Except that you weren't ready to accept it. Or maybe your partner or whatever looking you from outside can say, wow, what you need is this, but you are not ready to accept that thing. That's why I told you the other day, when I receive messages from the soul, I always said to the soul, well, that's fine, but don't say that to me, say it to that mind. Yes, you can do it, and you can talk with your body, because the body is stressed, like she said, and it's like with a lot of tensions. Yeah, so the first thing is that I recommend to the soul is just relax that body. Let the body know that it's safe, is in a comfort zone. And what I see in the treatments is that people just fall asleep, sometimes deeply. And then the process starts. That is, in the bed is not, sometimes it's very conscious, but sometimes it's subconscious. Yes? And the people just wake up, little dizzy, and then when they back home, they start to work. Yeah, things start to pop up to the consciousness, and they get this clarity, and therefore they sometimes, because it's always a free choice, sometimes they decide to make changes. Other times, like she said, doesn't happen because there is overstructure in the mind as well. That is the social trainment that tell us, oh no, you shouldn't do that because what other people will think, or things like that. So they have another challenge, which in reality was the beginning of the sickness as well, because I understand that illness or sickness happens when there is two forces inside of a body that are opposites, and they fight, and that creates inflammation and extra heat in the body. And therefore the only way to finish that is through an expression that will be the sickness or something like that. That's why very often when you heal only the symptoms, the problem reappear, come back again in a new form, and you see that the mentality is the same than before. It wasn't. There was no much learning in the previous time. That's why I always consider myself more like a guide, or like I won't say a teacher, but yes, more like a guide than a therapist himself. Even though when I use the energy to connect with people, I know that the most effective way to help is just to point them the way and teach them to fish, as Jesus used to say. Yes, and if they do it by themselves, then it's a growing process, it's a learning process, and finally the soul will be developed, because in the end of this life we only will have that, the learning. And then we only take that from earth. Yeah, so basically that is what we do.
Both of you brought up a similar concept, and this idea of bringing something up into the conscious mind that may have been subconscious previously, or something that might be implicit as opposed to explicit memories, or something that you can bring up into your conscious awareness of something that's happened. Now you mentioned something about observation, and the idea of observing these, and I'm fascinated with Krishnamurti, and he was saying that observing something internally is enough to start to make the change. And is that what we're talking about, this observing these past possible events or historic things within our system that we're holding on to? And is it just the observing of those is enough, or
I will say something.
Is it the beginning of something that you then start the journey from?
You first.
you did like that, so you first then.
Okay. Be witness and observing is not merely a passive thing. Yes? Through the watch, we create realities and we change realities. Yes? Because in our view we have a projector as well. It's not only to receive, it's not only a camera, it's also a projector. So yes, if you consider observation in that way, like a proactive process instead to just a passive one, because if you allow the things happens, maybe not gonna be a change. But if you look inside with this other attitude, yes, that you can create through your view, yes, is the only thing you need. Because watching inside, for example, when sometimes in meditations, when I lead a session, I always make my patients watch the interior of the body, the interior of the cells, watch how the light goes in and heal the cell or transmute the cell. For example, if they had to treat cancer or different stuff, and they are watching inside but transforming things through viewing. Yes? So if you use the view in that way, well, for sure, yes, it's the only thing you need, because view is a lot more of what we normally think.
It's not just an observation. It's
observation
is a doing thing.
Yes, it's like a projection at the same time. Yes, and also by observing, yes, another kind of information will appear as well. Yes, not only visuals. because you know that inside all the senses are connected. So we will start to have different intuitions as well about the origin of our process. Yeah.
Also, you see, we are living pretty much with masks. Actually, the word personality comes from ancient Greek theater, and it's a mask we wear. So during the daily life, we are having different roles. Now with you, I am someone. With my kids, I am a little bit different, slightly different. And we don't realize, but we are different characters in every situation of our daily life, and also inside our thoughts and this mind that has like a perpetual conversation inside our minds with different voices. We experience a way of being which is predetermined from our childhood, family, society, culture, and if you feel like me, also previous lives. And so when we deeply observe, we step back in another position, which is called the position of the testimonial, the
witness.
Sorry for my English.
No, it's perfect.
And this position is already a little less here in the frontal mind, where we project things and thoughts, and closer to the subconscious and the soul space, which is much bigger than only the subconscious. And then already to step back there is to take a distance from all this attached structure we have, and it's already a way to be more free. When we get to freedom, we are these creators without limits that can make everything possible. I deeply think everything is possible. When I treat a person, I have no doubt this person can solve every problem that comes to life. And the key for that resolution is inside, in this space, which needs first to be detached from the roles and the character, and also to believe again we have this power of creation. Because they tell us we don't, but it's what we have.
Yeah.
So it's very important we reconnect again with this unlimited power to create our life, our health, and you can communicate this through energy. And it bypasses many resistance in the mind.
Okay, yes, and I will add one thing, and that is that as we've been talking about the consciousness and how the consciousness is this field around us that contain all the information, but then what are we? So, and she says we use different characters. Yes, but how we use those characters, and that's the trick. We use it by attention. Is the attention moves inside of the mind, and pick up one of those characters and use it. And one of the characters is the sick, and the other one is the healer. And we all have all these archetypes inside. Yes. So what I do with the soul is tell her, you move to the healer. Stop to being the sick person and go and be your own healer. And you know how to do that. And she does it. Yes? I
can make some sample. Jesus told me he had a friend in the secondary school. She was high school, and she was an actress. She was already working as an actress, and she had this fear of water, and she could not swim. But one day in a night party, somebody pushed her to the swimming pool, so she could swim very well, and she got out of the pool, and their closest friends were looking like that. So you could swim by the way. And she said, well, I just pretend I was able to swim, like if it were a movie and I was the actress of this movie. So this is a nice example for me, because actually she just believed. She just pretend something, but it happened. Yes? And we could all do like this when we have problems to solve.
It's funny because my healing journey started. I had an accident in Sri Lanka in a tuk-tuk, and we hit a truck. The tuk-tuk went on its side. I felt okay. We picked up the tuk-tuk. I was going to a yoga retreat in on the south coast, and it was only 20 minutes away. But we travelled along the road, and when we got back to the yogashala, the tuk-tuk driver was saying, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I think so." And I paid him some money and walked in. And then as I started moving through yoga, everything just started locking up. Oh. And then I went off to try and find somebody to fix me. It's this whole thing of finding somebody else to fix you. Yeah. And I was seeing I went to the doctors and they referred me to a surgeon. They said I'd compressed a lot of my vertebrae and I needed these fused together, which I didn't want. And then went to a chiropractor and a physiotherapist and an osteopath, all trying to fix me. And I saw a chiropractor for about 4 months. And I said to him, I get a little bit of relief, but when is it going to get better? And he said, "Jonathan, your back is fucked. And this is as good as it's going to get." And it's really funny because I walked out there knowing I was seeing the wrong person, that I was going to get right. But if my mind wasn't of that mindset, I could have come out there and just kind of like, okay, well, this is my lot now. Yes.
That's why
it's so dangerous, the words that people use today. And
it's terrible, yes, because they say sentences. Yeah. And this sentence, if you receive and accept it, you are really fucked, like you said.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it's really frightening.
Yes.
And I do honestly believe that everything is curable.
Yes.
Because basically I've seen it now.
Yes. And you have the experience.
And I have the experience myself. Since then, I've done my yoga teacher training. I've run probably 5,000 kilometers, 5 kilometers every 3 days, 4 days. Occasionally I get an acknowledgement of something that still isn't quite right. So I then look at it internally myself and try and manage it. I also go and visit people like you just to experience what you can give me. And Nina helped me a lot when I came and had her treatment. I had something happening with my spine. I felt it all rotating during a session. But it's interesting that those foolish, flippant words can have such a massive effect.
Yes, because
on the body.
The more subtle is the touch, the deeper the effect. So
but the words also, yes, you can heal or you can kill someone with words. Yes, for sure. Words are very important because the basic stuff is that everything is mind. So the words are a way to program the mind. Yes, but it's not only through words, because, for example, normally we don't, if we are doing counseling, yes, but otherwise when we put the people on the bed, we talk by telepathy, and that message reaches the soul as well. So it's very important, the other aspect that she mentioned, that we sustain the faith all the time. That's what we do. The doer, the action that we do is that we
also look in the
help
light.
the faith.
Look at the light and the possibility this person has. If you look only the problem, or to the sombra,
symptom.
shade.
Yeah, to the symptom or to the shadow.
Yes. You need to see through the symptom toward the light, which is this extra energy that has the possibility to heal. Because what I think is, for instance, an accident like the one you had, or also an emotional accident like a fight.
Yeah.
It's an energy that gets in your body. So your body already has itself lots of way to discharge and free itself from this energy, but sometimes it's too strong or too much for the body to manage it. Also, it depends on the previous state of the body. It is not the same if I crash down or if my mother, who is already sick, crashes down. So your response depends on your previous state, but then if some residue of this energy that comes to attach is still there, then through this healing you can have the possibility to let it go. It's something that is not belonging to you. Your body still has that in some part, and it can go away. And so you have to see the body perfect, with the all capability, the perfect health, the perfect states, the light in its full potential, to see that it's an easy job to let it go.
Yeah, that's the other part of the viewing. That is the projection. So when you treat someone, you already see them, or see that body completely healed. Yes, that's why you are projecting this energy through your viewing. That's what she said. You got to look through the pain and don't feel misery with the other, even if they complain. You pass through that. And it's like the yin-yang symbol. Even if everything is dark, it should be a white dot there. And you got to find it. And if you focus on that, then will be the white environment. Yes, like the other part of the symbol. Yeah, and you can do that only by observing that, because remember that I told you that we are our attention, yes, or our, yes, it's our attention, but attention, it is also the act of projecting energy, pure energy. So if you focus in the good, that will grow. Yeah. If I treat your back, I will look what things are good in your back, and I will send energy to that bit, not to the bit that is with already an extra of energy that need to heal. You understand? The focus is different, not in what is wrong, but in the capacity to heal and what is right within you. Yes.
Are we talking about the body as a collection of atoms and molecules that are held together by energy?
I don't know. I am not sure if I believe in atoms and cells anymore. But the way I think is just information, just energy materializing some shapes that then we can observe and make names of it, but out of it, but.
Well, one of the things I was reading recently was that if we zoom into the electron and go in deeper, we have kind of things like taus and muons and all within atoms, and then we go into those, and all what there is frequency.
Yes, of course.
So that's what we're talking about, isn't it? Really?
In the end,
everything is all energy, and we're seeing only the peaks of that.
Yes.
Energy
you
level
can feel
this
frequency. This frequency changes when you think different in the human body. So actually, already you can do this exercise just to have a taste of yourself. You remember something sad deeply with your eyes closed, and you can take a picture of it, and it's visible. You are already changing your shape. In your face, in your attitude, in your posture. You can remember something happy. And it comes in a few seconds. People is very quick. If you say it's just an exercise, then they are open to it. Then you say, think of it truly. oh no, how can it be? How can I change my way of thinking about life truly? No. So, yes.
I started off with kinesiology, and one of the party tricks I used to do when I first started, because I found it fascinating, was to have people to lock out their arm and push down. And I'd say, like, let's just do a test, see how strong you are. Okay, now I want you to think of something sad, and then weakness would just be like this.
Yes.
And put it back up again. Now I want you to think of something that makes you feel really happy. And you couldn't budge it. And that effect on the body physically,
for sure,
was just astounding for me, and I just loved it. So from then on, I was kind of transfixed with this idea of our thoughts can physically change
it changes everything.
Our body states.
Yes.
Yeah. It's true.
Our body states, our health, our way of being, our way of react to things, and this is the freedom we have.
See, certain words like cancer, for example, has become a real frightening word for everybody. But what we don't really understand is that we are always fighting these cancer cells throughout our body every minute of the day.
Yes.
And I'm sure that if they looked into most people, they would find some sort of fight going on against some cancerous cells. But there's a fascinating guy called Dr. Hamer, German New Medicine. I don't know whether you've come across
Yes, I know him.
this, and he relates different past traumas to do with different cancers, which is quite, it seems to be quite valid with some of his ideas of what's come across with the people that I've treated who've been going through.
In Occidental, it started in the 60s, but in Orient,
No, in East.
in East, it's knowledge that has always been there. We know that everything that happens to our body, health, and mind comes from a way of thinking, a way of feeling. They go together. When we think something, but we don't have the correspondent emotion, that this thought has no power. But when it's the way of thinking comes with the correspondent emotion, that it creates a line of life which determines the effect in all the dimensions, the energetic first and then to the body. If you keep thinking like that, it will go down to the physical, touchable dimension as well. And so we can interact in different levels. We can heal the body with surgery. I think it's amazing what they do with surgery. I really respect that. But of course it's going to the más gruesa, la parte más densa, to the density part of it. What if we can just touch a point in the mind or in the feelings and change it so that the body will heal itself?
Well, as you mentioned, the medicine, I think, is going in that direction too. The new medicine is more subtle like that. And that's also I related with this increasing awareness that we are living in humanity. In another hand, as well, it's a risky time because we have many informations, are made it with bad intentions, you can say, to make people feel sad or without power or more worry about the Holocaust or the Third World War or the war. Okay, and that's happened at the same time that this increasing awakening, and that's the fight, the opposition that we are living in humanity right now. Yes, some people are seeing the spiritual world as the answer, yes, for this living, and other people is becoming more in the side of the control and materialistic, and those two positions are becoming stronger each time. So what we must do in this moment is keep our faith up. and keep on also projecting the wood wave on the field. In that case, not gonna be like a war. We'll surrender from the beginning. We're not gonna fight. We don't need to fight, because fighting is what will make the other section be more stronger. So I mean that instead to try to convince people that this point of view is the salvation for humanity, we got to project it in waves, like being in a certain way, being coherent, yes, not only in the mask, but especially in the heart and soul, and living that way. And that's the best thing that we can do today, or the thing that you are doing, like spreading this point of view to the people that are interested on that. Maybe they are not completely clear, but they have an intuition, and hearing this information, they can give the step and change their minds, and give themselves an opportunity to know more about this. But as I said, there's nowadays also many scientists, especially in the area of the physics, that are starting to talk in this way, like in the yogis and meditators of Asia, of the East, for centuries. But maybe now is the moment that finally this will be globally accepted as a something ontological, as proper of the human being, have spirits and so on, and souls. And I think in that sense, even when in the outside can look critical sometimes, in reality it's a good moment, because as she said, like in Asia, they said that the illness is an opportunity. Well, right now our society is sick, but it's a great opportunity to know more, yes, and to really change, because sometimes that it happens, for example, with the human rights in the 18th century. We all knew that was the right thing, yes, but we didn't accept it fully, because it doesn't come up from the hearts of the people. Some intellectuals say that's the right thing for you guys, and people say yes, but they will celebrate whatever thing because people say yes. And I think that finally we reach a moment in which the movement of the information can really teach and make people remember the origin of all this life, yes, and the purpose why we are here.
Although it is a work that comes individually. You have to do this journey individually and get to the awakened state. So even if we can help and heal, the awareness and the frequency you decide to live with, it's up to you. This is the freedom we have. If we decide to suffer longer, we can, no problem. If we decided to be joy and light and spread that, you can.
We've talked about this, haven't we? Because I've said how sometimes it feels like a lonely journey.
It is
going down your route of choice of,
Yes.
if it is a choice of life.
Exactly.
But it can be a bit daunting sometimes.
I think lonely comes with some sadness. I think it's like, yes, it's up to you, it's your individual choice, it's your path, but at the same time you are never alone.
But it's these conversations that really help me. They charge me up, and I feel kind of like part of a connected community, and it makes a big difference to me. And that's why I think it's important to have these chats with people, for other people that are possibly going through the same sort of thought processes as me. What is it all about? But I was fascinated with your story of your family, because your parents were both healers.
Yes.
And I think that's just amazing that there's this kind of lineage of ancestral healers.
That's very common as well. Yes. It comes in the family. We all do something related with this. I in my teenagers, I didn't want to do this, so I started to travel, and I want to become a painter or something, or a film director. But then, just traveling, life put me on my path anyway, because sometimes it's like an accident, like it happened to you, and sometimes it's meeting someone that remembers you, your mission here, because that's another thing. It's a lonely path, but if you start to dive in, you will find that this world is more than just a one world. And you can find like astral friends, beings that are also here but without organs and body. But lives here as well.
Of course, and they come when you heal. They
all
come
kind of beings, yes, and that's why she said, if you are never alone, because you can connect with them, and then will guide you good, and then they can empower you as well. So we have that possibility to connect with those higher archetypes, and I got to say that there is already a living community of these higher beings, and you can join to them and talk to them and receive messages from them, and you will never feel alone again. I mean, when you're not connected, obviously in this world you can feel like don't belonging here anymore, but that's when the compassion comes in again, and you remember that your purpose here is to do well and to spread this light here, and then you can start to love humanity as they are, with all their contradictions and fullness and so on. Yes. And you love them as you love kids, at example. You don't criticize them because they say something foolish. You just laugh and try to teach them something and enjoy to watch them grow. It's a beautiful feeling, especially if you focus in the light that they have, because otherwise you can think that you got to give them a shape, through violence sometimes. No, you shouldn't do it in that way, blah, 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 and you start to fight with them. And start to do that, you just love them. And I think that's another key in our therapies is that we always use this faith and love with the patients. Sure. That's the way to connect with the soul. You got to love.
At the beginning of my work on this, I was given my first therapist, therapies. And once a woman who was coming to his classes asked me a therapy, and with this woman I didn't know why I didn't feel like a lot of empathy. She was a little, I don't know, I didn't feel like friendship. Okay. I said, with me, don't you want with Jesus? No, with you. Okay, so it's a challenge. So I need to love this woman, which I don't spontaneously love. See? Wow, that was one of the greatest therapy I've ever experienced, because I really could cross this first opposition of my mind and get to this unlimited love. At the end of the therapies, we gave a hug like if she were my sister. And you see, in yoga, we see that there are 3 possible movements of our mind, which they happen automatically. We don't really choose. Every time choose. When you get in contact with something, an object, an experience, a person, whatever, you always have one of these. Opposition, you don't like, you don't want, rejection. Neutral, you don't feel much about it, or attraction, you like it, you want it. So in this case, I experience myself that this is part of the dream, and you can go through and go back to light even if your rejection is strong, because it's not yours. When we have one of these 3 movements, towards something or against or neutral, it just happened to us. And we can find we have reactions, automatic reactions toward everything in our life. And who are these reactions coming from? Who decide if you will like or not this person or this water or this mountain? And freedom, which is connected to healing, to this unlimited capacity we have to create, is also part of it, to be able to decide our reaction.
Yeah, but who is deciding?
Yes.
It's the character. The character is deciding for you.
We're back to the mask.
Yeah, you are not that. You are not that. We always said that. You are not. That's the other guy inside you.
So
it's not you.
So
you just got to change your mask.
And also come to the emptiness, yes, from where everything is possible. To go back, if you are in a situation, we can say, for example, a bad cancer, and they say already the sentence, you have no more time, yes? It happened to a friend of my brother-in-law, who is also from Manchester.
Oh, really?
Yes, and he lives here, yes. And he had a friend, they made a diagnosis of a bad brain cancer, very advanced, with metastasis, and there was nothing else to do. So he asked to the doctors, how long will I live? And they say maximum 3 months. So from that moment, this man who was only working and going home, working very focused on his career, he stopped working. And he started to go out for parties and trying all the drugs available. So he was permanent drunk and drugged. And he lived 10 years like that. And he was quite happy. Of course, it's not a sample. I don't mean if you have a cancer, go to take drugs. But for him, he just
he found an enjoyment.
Opened his mind and let go everything he was, all the things he thought they were important.
He changed the mask.
And he had extra time.
Because that's the other thing. The sickness is also in the mask. Yes. So. This is a very interesting experiment. You know that there are some people that have many personalities. Yes, like bipolar, but sometimes have many.
Yeah, schizophrenic.
It's kind of like schizophrenic. Yes, they have these different persons living in the same body. Well, it's an interesting experiment that shows that each person that occupies the same body has different sicknesses.
Yes, in one
different
they cannot
symptoms
see
in the same body.
Amazing.
Yes, one body. with one personality is allergic to some product, but when the other personality jumps in, doesn't have that.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's amazing. Yeah, the power of the mind again. Yeah, you see.
Part of it.
Now, one of the things that you talked about before, that was when you were doing treatments, and you would have some sort of intuitive sense of what's going on in the system. Have you had any? So what's happened to me on a few occasions now is that I've had people's names come into my head when I'm treating people, and it took me a lot of time to build up the strength to lose the doubt and use those names and just verbalize them to the people, like because I have this thing of kind of not wanting to be foolish, but sometimes the names are really strong, and I'm treating somebody that I don't really know that well, and then for me to say, like, who is Julia, for example, or it's taken me a lot of time, and I need to trust my instinct, my intuition a lot more, which is quite hard to do when you're not had like a lineage of people who've been doing this all the time. Has that happened to you when you've had people's names come into your head that are related to somebody's state?
Exactly. Normally, as I said, I don't speak with the persons, with the people, of this information that I get. Then when I get back home, we always talk about things that happen on the room. Yes, on the.
Sometimes I
treatment.
do speak to people. I don't receive only names. Sometimes are images. One time, a couple of weeks ago, a woman came, and we were having a session, and I kept seeing a man that had been an old man killed by a cat on a throw or something like. So I've seen it 3-4 times during the session. We end the session. I spoke to her about her states and how I found her and how she was feeling, and I trust I should tell something about this. And so I asked, well, I have not a precise idea of what is this about, but I saw this. And she said, oh, I just came because one of my best friends just died, and he has an initial cancer, but they killed him in the treatment. The second time he went for a chemo, they put it too much, and he died. And so
in the thyroid.
Yeah, and the cancer he had was in the throat. And she said, I went there for the funeral, and the family says it was the illness, and officially it was his sickness, but it was not. And I felt his spirit like angry. This is what the woman told me, no? Because he was killed, and nobody was recognizing the fact he was killed, even if for accident, of course, not in purpose. And so we made a prayer for his spirit to be recognized and to be able to go in peace. And we both saw this white, very strong light going, like in happiness and in peace in the right moment during the prayer. And I've seen many things right now, okay? So I come in opposite of Jesus. I come from a family that believes nothing.
Okay.
They are the most atheist in the world, and for them, everything, for my parents and brothers, everything I do is quite eccentric and stupid, and I cannot manage it. So for me, I have this structure of scientific way of, if I don't see it, I don't trust it. But now I've seen so many things. So I experienced directly so many things that I do trust. And so this woman was surprised and said, yes, things like that happen. and you can receive signals that are meaningful for the person but not for you. And so sometimes it's good to share and to say as
Yes.
well based
Yes.
on intuition.
Yes, also based on intuition. Normally, as I said, I only talk telepathically, and I know that I'm trust in that. I know that the information will be received as well by the soul. And yes, but sometimes you can say it as well. Sometimes I always I do sometimes say some things, but I prefer not to do it. But yes,
It depends.
It
yes,
depends.
It depends on the case.
It depends. Normally, I don't.
Sometimes the sickness the person is experiencing, in my way of reading it, is that the person has some external presence in the body. Sometimes I had to work in that level, like a possession. And
Or
it is
energetical larves and things like that. That's
also
yes, true.
So
that also exists. It's not only good beings in the space.
And so also that part of the healing process, in these cases, it is very important to go to someone who can help, because if there is a strong presence, it's hard for the person, not impossible of course, but very hard for the person to get rid of it by itself, especially in this way of living we have now. We don't practice much meditation, we don't normally, no? So I had this case 8 years ago probably, with a girl, a young girl, 25 years old, and she was coming because she was depressed, and she didn't want to live, and she was depressed, she couldn't work anymore.
Cutting her arm and things like that.
And wearing black, but in a bad way, and so she came, and I asked, do you really want to be okay? Do you want to be healthy and happy again? And she said, yes, I want, but I don't know how. So we started a session. I touched her head, and instantaneously I start listening a voice in my head, like if it were my thoughts, saying, I was in another studio, the first floor, and there was a window, and this mind was telling me, it's very, very closed. One step and you can jump. You just go there and you jump. But this voice, I was in a very centered state that day, and very healthy and happy and conscious. So I could immediately recognize it was a presence. Yes? So I didn't believe these thoughts were mine, not even for 1 minute. No? So I was feeling and listening everything this presence was telling to this girl in a daily basis, and it's very hard to live with that. And so we could manage to destroy that. Sometimes you can send it to life, sometimes it's a very bad one, and you can only dissolve it in the smallest part. And so it goes, and the girl
It went,
and the girl stand up after the therapy, is really cansada, really tired, and she went home, and she never came back. So after 2 years, she wrote me, and she said, after that moment, my life changed, and I was able to be myself again.
Lovely.
So it was a confirmation. It comes 2 years after, but she sent me pictures. She was happy now. She was wearing colors.
Lovely.
Yeah. So really, sometimes it's not because of the person. Maybe for this presence to get in, it's about frequencies again. So you have to be in a frequency that is similar to this presence to come in. You can tell presence, you can tell thoughts. They come in where the frequency is similar. So sometimes maybe she was in a bad mood for a longer period, and so this could install the program.
But also with being exposed to lower frequencies that can come in movies or in music or in environments, and then your energy also moves in that way, and you pick up stuff. Yeah.
Then we have to be very aware of what we do.
It's nothing like the
Yes.
exorcism that my father used to take me with.
Really?
Yes, because in those times, in the 80s, we used to fight a lot. Not me, but they used that method to scream a lot with those demons and things like that. I never did that. I just sat and start to project light, and that's something that, because the vibration is so different, they cannot handle.
Yes. If you
Yes.
stay in the light, you emanate, irradiate a frequency of a high level, and these low frequencies just cannot
Just
stand.
vanish.
They have either to vanish, either to go away, and it's another way of fight. Yes, from
Yes.
light.
It was funny on one of the treatments with you that I did. We were doing a balance, and I was resonating at a particular frequency, and it was kind of like, no, this isn't enough, and I could feel it going. And then I had to hold it here, and it was such a different frequency than I normally work on, but it was interesting.
Yes.
Yes. That's very, very true. With frequencies, many things can interfere in our frequencies, since the environments, all the things that we consume, also food. Yes, but it's not difficult to return to the light, but in that sense we have to be we have to have this discipline to take care of us. Yeah, and the self-care is very important to maintain us, because we can lose this, as you said, I was vibrating up here. Yeah, and you got to manage to really make your base in the peace, and never, or try at least, don't to move down of that. Sometimes it will happen, but then you got to return again to at least to your serenity. Yes, and that's something that you can get with practice. It's like if you know how to swim, yes, you won't be scared to go to the sea. And sometimes the waves can come and almost drown you down, but if you trust in yourself, you can come back to the surface. Yes, and that is the training. Every day you got to be in the higher frequencies, in the light. And you said something interesting as well about the silence, because when our mind is not chatting inside of us, we naturally return to the surface. This is the base, the serenity. And from that, we can build the other state, which is higher. And to live in that upper state, you got to be communicated like a way of living with the spirit world. Yes, and that's possible too. We can live in both worlds at the same time, in the spiritual world and in the physical world. And that happens when you project also with your eyes, when you project on this common daily basis life. Yes, you project the meaning of the spiritual. So from that point of view, everything has a meaning, has a purpose. And if you start to read those things will guide you in your path. And then you won't feel alone, because when you start to read the spiritual in the physical, you are in God. You wake up to the fact that this reality, this dream, is the dream of God. It's not the dream of humans. Humans are the until they don't wake up, yes, they're just like the puppets on the dream. Just when you have a dream and you dream with other people, that they think that they are free in your dream because you don't tell them what to say or things or how to wear, but they are inside of your mind. Well, here is the same. Yeah, people think they are free, but if they don't see that they are in a dream, they always be sleeping. They will be sleeping. Even when they think they are awake, they are not. So, if you project on this world the spirit, yes, everything has a sense and God is everywhere. That's why if you project the spirit, you are with God, or better, you are in God. That's why you are never alone.
So is the guide through synchronicity? Is that part of the pathway?
Yes, synchronicity is the way that the God talk to you. It's God talking to you.
It's just a confirmation you get outside that you are doing this path inside. Yes.
Because I had lots and lots of
is God talking
things
to you?
that are happening to me.
Sure.
Is God guiding you? Yes. So follow that rabbit.
I was once going for a running through the countryside, and I ran past this pub, and I found this debit card on the floor, and it was like Timothy Smith card. So I put it in my pocket, and I thought when I get back I'll do some Google, see if I can find it. Went for a run, came back a different route, and ran through this town. And as I'm running through this little part of our village, there was a woman walking a dog towards me, and something told me this lady knew this Timothy Smith.
Yes.
So I was like, she's going to think I'm crazy, but so I just stopped and said, look, I just need to ask you a question. Do you know Timothy Smith? And she said, yes, he's my son. And I was like, okay. Pulled out the card. And she said, how have you got his card? And I said, I found it outside a pub in, about a mile and a half away. And she said, I'll give it to him as soon as he wakes up. I said, no, you need to teach him a lesson. He needs to look after this card. So what I want you to do is hide it somewhere till about 5-6 o'clock in the evening. So he's had the whole day of panic, not knowing where it is. And then you can say, I've got your card, here you go. You've got to teach him a lesson with this. And so things like that are happening quite a lot, which I find very strange. But
well, then I turn off the air because I'm freezing.
It's strange until becomes the new normality.
Yeah.
I need to tell you the story of how I met Jesus then.
Okay.
Well, I was traveling in South America. Yeah, I've been in Mexico a long time. And I went for holiday in a little island called Isla Mujeres, which is in the Caribbean part of Yucatan, paradise. And I met some friends there. I spent like 1 month there. And one of these friends had a birthday the same week of mine, so we had celebrated together. Then I left. But this friend Carolina, she had a family in Argentina, and I told her, maybe one day I'll visit Argentina. And she said, okay, I'll write my brother, if you ever go, he can guide you. And this brother was Jesus, and he wrote me an email. And he said, a very formal email. Well, dear lady, if you ever come to our country, it would be a pleasure to show you the most interesting cultural spots. And I said, what a strange guy. Why does he write like that to me? I was 18 years old. I mean, I said, what is this? So I just had the mail in my email account, but I never think of it anymore. And then 1 year passed by after this first contact. After 1 year, he went to live in Mexico, in the same place where his sister was. And well, I was traveling in Brazil by myself, and one day a friend asked me to join a social community to share pictures. And I wanted to see the picture of this friend, so I signed in. I upload no picture of me, but without knowledge, I press a button, and all my contacts, like 300 people, received an invitation to join this social.
Remember that in the past you had that possibility to send it to all your contacts.
So I sent like 300 automatic mails from this from this social.
That was in the 2000.
It was not Facebook, but it was a Ringo. It was another kind of Facebook that doesn't exist anymore. But so Ringo wrote to all my contacts, and many of them reply, "Why did you ask me to join if there are no picture of you? What is this? Is that a virus?" And so I received lots of mails. And one of these mails came up, took my attention, and it says, "I know you are the one I was looking for." And I said, what is this? And I read the name, Jesus. And I remember, this is the brother of that girl, this strange man. And I started laughing, and I felt so happy, so happy. I couldn't stop laughing in this cyber cafe. And I was like laughing a lot and surprising myself. Why do I laugh so much for this strange email? So the day after, I received another email from him. And in this letter, he wrote down everything we were going to do together in life, point after point. And it was like the list of my dreams, yes, related from someone else. And we started writing each other, and we decided to get married before we met each other in person. So after a couple of months of that, I traveled to Mexico to visit him. And he told me the other part of the story. Would you like to tell him the other part of the story?
You are telling him the story well.
So we met in Mexico finally, and I asked him, why did you write me this letter? I know you are the one. And he said, well, when I was in Argentina, I felt I wanted to find the love of my life. So I went to a shaman, and I asked for some guide, and he told me, you will meet her in Mexico. And so I traveled to Mexico to find the love of my life. And when I get to the island, many people told me about you. So they were saying, there was a girl here like that. Even his sister told him, this friend of mine you would like. And one day he was looking picture of this birthday party we had together with his sister, but there were no picture of me in that album because I took them with me. And there was only one. I was only be seen in the back through other people dancing, and he felt something. So he went to the sea. He made a ritual, a shamanist ritual, and he asked to the sea, if this is the woman, then tomorrow she will write me, and I will know.
I love it.
And that is the day I sent to him this automatically invite.
Beautiful.
Yeah, but the funny thing is that I was following a shaman back there in Mexico as well. And the name of this shaman was Dagoberto, which is an strange name, Dagoberto. But the funny thing is that she started to travel because she broke her leg, and she stopped to competing in fencing because that's what she used to do. And the name of her dog was Dagoberto.
Well, my dog broke my leg. That's the connection we lost. And Dagoberto was my dog who broke my leg, not in purpose, but still. And then I changed my life.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So
what
see.
a beautiful story.
Yes.
So how can?
And how long have you been married now?
20 years.
20 years or so.
Lovely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. with Mary. And,
Of course, you haven't seen my parents' face when I came back 20 years old with my in love called Jesus, which is a forbidden name in Italy under law. You cannot be called Jesus in my country. With this ateo family, they were like, what?
Now they must be happy.
They are happy now, yes.
Yeah.
Of course.
And I have one an experience similar than you have with a car, and this happened to me in Mexico as well. I was a little disappointed because I couldn't get the residency in Mexico, even when I have a job and everything. I went to lawyer that didn't help me at all and nothing. And I was losing my faith. And then I was watching down, and the wind blows, and a page finished here in my head. And I took it like that, and it was a page of Bhagavad Gita, that is a sacred book. It was just the page in which God Krishna, talked with Arjuna, the hero of the story, and give him like hope, and he tells Krishna to pick up the arrow and the bow to keep on fighting and everything. So it was more like than a clear message. Yeah. And just I was watching, I was like, who sent me this? Because it's a page from a sacred book. Just the wind just blowing to my face. Yes. And after that I was more happy because I felt that God was always with me.
Yes, it's funny, this synchronicity. Are you tired, or I tell you another story that happened?
You can tell me another story if you like.
I love this story, but it's I'll tell you exactly how it was. Yeah? So we have this yoga teacher from Italy. He's a very wise person, and we were very young and just married, I think. And we went to France for a yoga retreat, but this yoga retreat was in a Ramakrishna center. And they were, there are many Ramakrishna, not the very famous one, another Rama. So I was a little in this rejection possibility with all this fanatism I was feeling there. They were like praying under the image, the picture of this man, and they were too much for me, too much following too much of this idolatry of this teacher. So I decided to go away before. So we went away, and we went to Paris to take a train to go back to Italy. But the train was so expensive that if we just waited until the next day, it was like much cheaper. So we said, well, let's spend one day in Paris and then we will go. And all the hotels were so expensive in Paris that it was like too much. I didn't want to spend 600 euro for one night in a small hotel. No? So I was like angry, very angry. And disappointed. And we were walking in the Champs-Élysées, this big avenue in Paris, and I was like this, but like this. I will write an article against this stupid Rama. I don't like this. Oh, why did I came? I'll tell them the truth. Like making a very bad frequency. And we crossed the road. And suddenly a motorbike came into the acera, in the walk place, and they stopped us with this motorbike, like, and I say, what? And there were two people in the motor. One took off the helmet, and he was from Asia. The exact face of Buddha. You see the eyes, no hair,
balding.
a very yes. he smiled to us and he said, "Bonjour, I am Rama." And I said like this, because I was saying very bad words to Rama in that exact moment. And so he said, "Oh, hello, I'm Jesus." So the second person took off the helmet, and this blonde, long hair came out of it, and she said, "And I am Maria." And I said, "What?" So these people looked at us, and I had a symbol of the Santiago Road in my backpack. And so they say, "We stopped you because we met and we got married on the Santiago Road, and today is our anniversary. And we saw you in the middle of Paris with your stick and the Santiago symbol, and we wanted to say hello." And so I told them the story, and they invited us, and we slept at their house, and they gave us the beautiful view of the night, and they were amazing, yeah. And so I get in peace with Rama and Krishna, and I reckon they are always listening and giving us the right teaching. So this is another story of synchronicity.
Love it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and I got to say that in India is different. This this praising to their idols. I have a very strong experience by meditating with some figure of enlightened being back there in India, and it was like receiving empowerment from a living being as well. Yes, it can happen in India. In India, it happens to me many fantastical stories. But I said, when you start to live in the spiritual world and project it to the common world, it turns to be all spiritual.
It's very special, India. It's got amazing energy there.
Yeah, yeah.
And Mexico as well, eh?
Mexico
as
as well, very
I've only been 2 places in Mexico, and I think they're probably the worst places to go to in Mexico.
Probably.
So,
Yeah.
we went to Cancun.
Yeah.
In 1986, 87.
Okay.
And then we went to Puerto Vallarta, which
Puerto Vallarta, yes.
Puerto Vallarta was nice, but
Yeah.
very commercial. Very
Yes,
busy.
yes, it's all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also in
But
India
there
you
are
will
also
find
holy
everything.
places.
Yes, but there are some special places. But when I really love Mexico, but when I went to India, I felt like home.
Me too.
Yeah.
I always felt that when you first visit India, you leave a piece of yourself there, and then when you travel and you go back to India, you connect with that piece that you lost. That's what it feels like. Some reason.
Well, close your eyes. Go to India.
Okay.
Do you feel this part of you?
Not sitting here with a camera on me, no.
Well, because now we
But
are
I'm
in the
gonna-
middle
I'm
of
gonna
something,
do
but
that.
You
Yeah,
can
yeah.
do that. Yeah.
I just need to go back to India. That's all.
Me too. Yes.
But thank you for this.
Thank
This
you,
has
John.
been really,
John.
really special.
Can I add that I am very happy to have met you, and
likewise.
I really hope that you will follow this path you are doing. I think you're doing a great job in both levels, human and also in the energy path.
Well, trying to. It's. I have. One of the things that I have is a little bit of imposter syndrome, because I've been dealing with commercial property for so long, and then make a switch to some sort of healing.
Okay, but
paradigm.
when you are in the healing, yes, you are a different character. Yes, she told me. Yes, so trust in that.
Yeah.
Yes, you have the imposter thing comes because you often use the other character, but when you are doing your sessions, you are wearing the proper character. So it doesn't matter what the other guy is doing the rest of the day.
Okay.
when you are doing your treatment, is not the same. It's not the same guy. Yeah, it's another, and it changes all. Like she said, with emotions, it changes your face, it changes your look, your eyes, the tone of your voice, and it's real.
I feel it too. I feel a difference.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and you change
Trust
your
in that.
eyes when you treat.
Oh,
I've
really?
seen that, yeah.
Yes, so trust
Even
in
the
that.
color changes.
Despite the things that the other characters does on you,
Okay.
you got the God in you, and when you are treating, is that part of you that is doing the right thing. So it doesn't matter if you are not complete or integrate in other senses. It doesn't matter. We come to the school for learning that.
Yeah, yeah.
But when you are doing the light, you are God. So when the session finishes, the doubts return. doesn't matter. That's part of the human part, the human being.
Okay.
The spiritual being, when he's doing his job, is him. Don't have doubts with that.
Look, when I started to teach yoga, I had doubts, and one of my doubts was, should I teach also the things that I don't really manage totally in my experience of it, or should I only attain of what I really feel I have integrated fully in my body and conscious? And I wasn't sure. So one day in a very big class I was running, came a woman that had suffered poliomyelitis, and she had the legs, but they were very small, and she was in a wheel, and she came to the yoga class. So I was concerned. I said, should I help? She said, don't worry, you give your class and I'll manage myself. She was an old woman. I said, okay. So I kept an eye, but I made a class, and after the class I went to her to see how she was doing. And she said to me, very well, I am a yoga teacher. I've been teaching for 40 years, and somebody tells me about your class and I wanted to see what about. And so I received the answer. She could do very few postures, very few exercises because of her physical condition, but she was teaching yoga. So it was completely clear that you can not only teach what you do, but it's enough if you can send the right message to others. So maybe in some part of our life we don't integrate all this knowledge or this spiritual, but if you have the connection, the moment you are connected, you can send to others.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Only thing is that. Yes. It doesn't matter the rest of the day. You will work in that, but when you are doing the therapist, is the right portion of you doing that.
It's more, you can put the spiritual part in the financial and make something great with it.
You get to think that we are an holographic image of the universe. That means that inside we have everything. We have the perfect healer inside of us, and we can activate that
Or
character
project.
or project it, yes, in a session, and trust in that because it's possible, yes. And when the work finishes, that character moves as well, and you return to the average, yes. Which is the one that got to be flexible. It's the only thing that we need to do with our egos, turn them flexibles. It means that when there is some situation, you replace that character with the one that is perfect for doing that stuff. Yes, so you have the perfect account, you have the perfect partner, you have the perfect friend, you have many characters there, and you only got to wear the appropriate one. And
don't believe you are any of them, actually.
Yes, you're not.
You're not the financial businessman, and you're not the therapist. You're just the
Yes.
consciousness,
And
wearing
plus,
different clothes.
the perfect spiritual healer, as I said before, is completely clear because we are channeling energy. So A good channel is the one that doesn't have obstructions, so it's completely void inside. And that's what the therapist does. He gets open, and the energy, the light, and the information pass through. Yes, only that. So naturally, we all have doubts. Yeah, but that's the doubter. We have a character that is the doubter that will put everything on doubts.
Yes.
And that's the learning process, is to make order in between all your characters that lives inside of you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Really, really lovely. Thank you very much.